Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever in the world you are, we are glad that you are with us. We wish to welcome you to the daily Bible study for the Sea Lion Church of Christ. If you have been to our building, you know where we are. If, on the other hand, you are joining us from someplace else in the world or someplace else in the Philippines, we are located in the city of Silang, Cavite, Philippines, on Aguinaldo Highway at kilometer 42. That makes us about 30 miles or 50 kilometers south of downtown Manila. As you guys know, periodically, right now we are studying walking in submission to God as our ongoing topic. But periodically, I will run across what I think is a needs lesson to give, and we will speak about that. Today's lesson is the hidden life of grace. Why your left hand should be a stranger to your right hand. We live in an age of the public square. From social media posts to professional networking events, we are constantly encouraged to create a persona. We are told that if a good deed isn't documented, it didn't happen. If a prayer isn't broadcast, it isn't powerful. And if our charity isn't acknowledged, it's a wasted opportunity. However, Jesus offers us substantially different instructions. Instructions that strike at the heart of the human ego. He calls us to a hidden life. He calls us to a way of existing where our primary audience is not the world, but the Father who sees in secret. Rochelle, give us Matthew chapter 6 and verse 3, please. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 3.
Matthew chapter 6 and verse 3. 6, 3. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing.
And verse 4, please, Giselle.
And verse 4, so that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you.
Now, obviously, Jesus is speaking hyperbolically here. He is using hyperbole to describe a state of spiritual spontaneity. A life where doing good becomes so much a part of our nature that we don't even stop to congratulate ourselves. Now, as Burton Kaufman points out, this metaphor suggests an action so quick and so motivated by love that there is no time for calculating the side of the brain that would take credit for it. To understand why Jesus commands this holy ignorance, if you will, we have to look at the warning against theatrics. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 1. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 1. Ellie?
What was that first verse?
6, 3, 4.
Matthew 6,
3 and 4.
Oh, Matthew 6, 3 and 4.
Yes. Ellie, you got Matthew 6, 1 for us?
Sir, Matthew chapter 6, verse 1. Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven.
Now, to be seen doesn't really communicate what is underlying that in the Greek. The Greek word here, if you guys want to write it down, is theathenai, Theathenai. We get the English word theater from this theathenai. And Burton Kaufman notes that the sin here isn't necessarily being seen. Why? Because Jesus has previously told us in the context to let our light shine, but doing the deed in order to be seen. Brother Kaufman says the motive is the thing. The person who does right for the sake of applause of his fellows has his reward, and it is the very applause he seeks. Gary Hampton in his book, The Compassion of Christ, emphasizes that when we blow a trumpet before our charity, we are acting like the hypocrites did in the synagogues. The reward they get is that fleeting breath of human praise. If you seek the likes on your TikTok or on your Facebook or on a screen at all, or a thank you from the pulpit, you have cashed your check. God's ledger for that deed is now marked paid in full, and it's paid in full by the world. Roger Dixon adds, blowing a trumpet was a literal practice for some, summoning the poor with a blast so that everyone would see who was providing. Today, our trumpet is the status updates or the humble brag. Dixon warns that when we perform our Christianity, we stop being servants and we start becoming entertainers. So, how can we distinguish between letting our light shine and doing alms to be seen? How can we distinguish between letting our light shine and doing our alms to be seen? Jordan?
Sir, hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
In my own opinion, maybe by obeying and obeying and obeying and doing God's commandment
Okay. Well,
by
go ahead.
reading the scripture, by
All right.
applying the scripture, what the scripture said in our life. That's my own opinion, sir.
That's fine. The difference is the final destination of the glory. If the observer thinks of us, we fail. If the observer thinks of God, then we have succeeded. Keep staying in the same context. Give me Matthew chapter 5 and verse 16, Jordan.
Matthew chapter 5 verse 16 says, in the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to the Father who is in heaven.
Give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Are we seeking glory for us, or are we seeking glory for God? Next question. What is the consequence of seeking human validation for our spiritual acts or acts of good mercy or acts of good deeds? Mario?
Sir, can you repeat the question?
What is the consequence? What is the result of seeking human validation for good things that we do?
Seeking the validation, doing good, sir, is we are here to do things not to impress other people, but to glorify God in heaven, who sees us in everything that we do, even in secret, sir. That's all. Thank
Okay.
you.
Let me see if I can explain this to you. The way I'm going to explain it, and you can tell me if I do okay, is when we do good deeds so that we can be seen by other people, we lose our vertical connection with God because we trade it for a horizontal connection of humans. Give me John chapter 12, verse 43. John chapter 12, verse 43, Mario.
John 12, verse 43 says, for they love the glory that comes from men more than the glory that comes from God.
Now I'm going to ask you a question. Mario, would you rather be thought of good by men or by God?
By God, sir, because what should we do is according to the scripture, sir. So the scriptura, not by the opinion of others, sir.
Okay, very good. So why is it so important that the left hand stays in the dark? And the answer is because the human heart is a factory of idols. And the most dangerous idol is ourself. Roger Dixon points out that the left hand represents our faculty or brain for self-reflection and self-congratulation. If the right hand gives and the left hand immediately records it in our mental righteousness notebook, we have fallen into a trap, and that trap is called self-righteousness. Luke chapter 18, verse 11, Shay. Justin, good morning.
Good morning.
Luke chapter 18, verse 11 says, the
Pharisee.
Pharisee standing by himself prayed thus, God, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even like this tax collector.
Verse 12, please, CJ.
Verse 12, I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I get.
Pay attention. This man is talking to himself. His right hand was busy listing all of the good things to his left hand. Scholars emphasize that this man left the temple unjustified. Why? Because he was his own audience. As Burton Kaufman notes, this man's prayer was essentially a recital of his own virtues, rather than a petition for God's mercy. When we keep a ledger of our good works, we begin to feel that God owes us. We start to believe our salvation is earned rather than a free gift of God. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 8. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 8, Francine.
Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing, it is a gift from God.
And 9, please, Vanessa.
In verse 9, nor a result of works, so that no one may boast.
Okay. We cannot think of salvation ever being earned. We do not deserve it. In fact, Jesus wants to blind our left hand so that he can prevent the cancer of merit-based thinking. Question: does God value the size of the gift or the heart of the giver? Does God value the size of the gift or the heart of the giver? Fred?
The heart.
Part of the hero.
Very good. You're driving, aren't you, Fred?
Dragging?
Are you driving?
Driving.
Yeah, I thought you were. Justin, are you driving?
No, sir, I'm here.
Okay, very good. Give us Mark chapter 12, 43 and 44, please.
43 and 44. And he called his disciples to him and said to them, Truly I say to you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the offering box.
Keep going.
For they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on.
You see, God values the sacrifice of hidden heart over the surplus of the public giver. So, how do we stop the left hand from counting our good deeds? How do we stop our left hand from counting our good deeds?
We must basically give or help others by by an open heart, not with you wanted to be seen. I believe you were able to mention us last. This is a way back lesson that we had that a rich were able to give most, but a poor um, was able to give something that nothing is left to the poor. But what was being blessed between the two is the poor who actually gives and surrenders everything, even without left nothing, where God um, basically blessed more because the um, giving is coming from the heart, not the actual um, amount that was being given. That's all, sir.
Okay, give me Luke 17:10.
Hold on, sir. Luke chapter 17, verse 10 says, so you also, when you have done all that you were commanded, say, we are worthy servants. We have only done what was our duty.
We are unworthy servants. We are
I'm
still
sorry,
unworthy.
unworthy servant.
We do not earn it. You see, there is a profound psychological and spiritual freedom in doing things in secret. When you do something for God alone, you are freed from the tyranny of other people's opinion. Burton Kaufman says that the secret place is where true character is forged. Anyone can be a saint when the cameras are rolling. But who are you when no one is watching? In his commentary, Kaufman suggests that the open reward mentioned by Jesus is often the development of a Christ-like character that cannot be faked. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 3. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 3. Rochelle?
Colossians chapter 3, verse 3. For you have died, and your life is
And your life
hidden with
is
Christ
hidden.
in God.
There you go. Hidden with Christ in God. If you give so that you can be seen, you are a slave to the observer. If they don't thank you enough, you might build resentment. If they don't notice, you feel ignored. But if you give in secret, even your left hand doesn't know. You are operating in a kingdom where the only opinions that matters is that of God, and it's already settled. Gary Hampton says this hiddenness protects the believer from the wear and tear of public criticism and the self-inflation of public praise. So, what should be our primary motivation for doing things in secret? What should be our primary motivation for doing things in secret, Giselle?
What?
Primary motivation, sir.
Yes.
We should follow the commandments of God and always in Him and have faith.
Okay. Our primary motivation should be the love of Christ, not the desire for a reputation. Giselle, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 14.
Okay. 2 Corinthians. Okay. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 14. The love of Christ control us because we have this, that one has died all, therefore all have died.
Okay. When we do something for somebody, who is our primary audience? When we do something for somebody, who is our primary audience? Ellie?
So I think it's Jesus Christ, sir.
Our primary audience is the omniscient, meaning all-knowing God. Secrecy from men is not secrecy from God. Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 13, Ellie. Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 13.
Sir, Hebrews chapter 14.
No, chapter 4, verse
Chapter 4,
13.
verse 13. Okay, here we go. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 13. And no creature is hidden from his sight, but all are naked and exposed to the eyes of him to whom we must give account.
Everything we do is known to God. So how do we practically not let the left hand know what the right hand is doing? Now, Gary Hampton says this is about reaching a level of spiritual maturity where righteousness becomes a reflex. Imagine a master musician. When they first learn, they are painfully aware of every time their finger moves. Their left hand is watching their right hand constantly. But when they become a master, the music just flows. In the same way, we should grow so much in the grace of Christ that we help someone not because we decided it was time to be a good Christian, but because that is simply who we are. Matthew chapter 25 and verse 37. Jordan.
Sir, Matthew chapter 25 verse 37 says, Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink?
38, please, Mario.
chapter 38 says, and when chapter 38 says, and when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothed you?
And 39, please, Shay.
30 and 39. And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?
You see, the righteous people in this passage are genuinely surprised. They don't remember their good deeds. Their left hands were so unconscious to what their right hands were doing that they had to be reminded by the king himself. Now, Roger Dixon explains that for the mature Christian, helping others becomes as natural as breathing, and we don't count our breaths, or at least I don't. Philippians chapter 3 and verse 13. Philippians chapter 3 and verse 13. CJ?
Philippians chapter 3 and verse 13 reads, Brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead.
So the question that goes with that is, how does the Bible describe the forgetfulness of a transformed mind? Just as Paul forgot his achievements, we must forget our own virtues and keep reaching for Christ. What happens when we focus too much? What happens when we focus too much on our own goodness, Francine?
Sir, we are not in the path from God. We are um because we are doing our own deeds, not
Okay.
from our Jesus Christ.
Give me Proverbs 16:18, Francine.
Proverbs what, sir?
16:18.
Verse 18. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
So what happens when we focus too much on our own goodness? We set ourselves up for a fall by leaning on our own record of goodness rather than God's grace. Sometimes we succeed in hiding our works from others, but we fail to hide them from ourselves. We can become internal Pharisees, and this is really the core of what Jesus is warning about with the left hand. Luke chapter 17, verse 10, we already read it. So you also, when you have done all that you are commanded, say, we are unworthy servants. We have only done what was our duty. And with that, we'll stop the class.